afternoon, evening, wherever you are from the world. Welcome to the series of Authenticity and Inclusivity. We're doing the 10 weeks on this series of personality traits and saboteurs based on the concept from positive intelligence. And if you are joining us live, please do give us some comments, whatever, because we really can't see you. And welcome, I'm Aries, your host for today. And of course, my lovely guest, Lucy, which is the emotional intelligence and leadership coach. And we're going to save our time. We have 30 minutes. We always kind of run out of time. So we're going to jump straight into today it's a stickler saboteur. And what is the traits they have that we can notice? The characteristic, the thoughts, the feelings, or the lies they've been telling you, and how impact us and others, and what can we do, and how does they again intertwine with our personality preference using these. This is DISC personality traits. And here we are. Lucy, you like to kickstart today talking a little bit about this stickler.
The stickler. Thank you, Aries. So how about we start with strengths, looking at what are some strengths that people that get hijacked by the stickler that they have actually? What is the underlying strength that we can appreciate, acknowledge? And one of them that I wish I did really have more of is kind of a desire for perfection and also a sense of completion and kind of order, sense of order, and having things done the right way. Would you like to add any other strength there?
Things done in order. I'm thinking. Sound to me like organized. The word came up for me.
Yeah.
I think another word is probably of a kind of high standard.
Yes, the quality, desire to have things done in a rather high quality way. Yeah.
I guess the person like this is probably pretty kind of disciplined.
Yes, that's a beautiful strength too.
Yeah, disciplined, yeah. But I think certain people who are not very disciplined will probably see that as a challenge. Okay. You know where I'm coming from? Yeah. So I think it's about organization, order, and able to kind of, instead of being like all over the mess. Don't look at my room, thank God. This is not my real room. In case you think it's real, my room is quite messy. So it's a kind of strength that I probably would struggle, as in order, tidy, and probably about neatness. I don't know whether that will come in.
Yeah, neatness. Because they like kind of have things, everything needs to have its own place in a way.
Everything needs to have its own place. Well, is that a good thing or not a good thing?
It's a beautiful strength. I enjoy living with people or being around people who have things like that. Because everything is nice and organized. There's not much clutter, or if there's lots of things.
You know what to expect with them. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Exactly. It's kind of predictable also.
Okay. Well, I think the thoughts keep coming to me that people who are so disciplined, organized, neat, and tidy, it's nice to only a certain point.
Yeah, unfortunately, when they get hijacked by the survival brain, and the strength goes into the overdrive and is used and misused and abused by the saboteur, that's when things get interesting.
The thing is, we all know realistically, nobody on this world, unless you're a god, is being perfect. But I think as a stickler, the main trait is about that perfection. They seek to be perfect, which is why they need to be neat, order, tidy,
Yeah.
everything need to be at the right place, the right time. There's a lot of that. Is it rules and order? Right and wrong to a certain
Yeah, it's like the
extent.
name of the show, Law and Order. which brings up the point that, they might have originated, the stickler might have been born in a way, created, because they were in a chaotic environment where there was
Mm.
the opposite of law and order. There was
Yeah.
lots of chaos, lots of unpredictability, lots of uncertainty. So the
Mm.
stickler kind of came in to save the situation and created a little bit more order, more predictability, more safety in a way.
Yeah. It's interesting that I'm going to divert a little bit. I find that it's really interesting how intelligent we are as a human being, right? Because of the environment that led that, probably that not everyone behave the same way, but because of the environment that we are in is so chaos, and we kind of come out ourselves to kind of manage the situation where you kind of become very orderly and tidy to manage the chaos. But I think what we all know is like saboteur all start from, we say, the garden from childhood. Like this case, you clearly illustrate that with such a chaos environment. The saboteur have come in and help them to manage by, let's be organized and tidy so they can manage that mess in their situation, and they kind of take that very useful traits with them and then to the adulthood, and it become part of who they are. Yes, it's so used to doing that, it become like an identity, like, oh, you need to be order, why this is not like this, why this is like this, we need to be like this is not good enough, and become critical of themselves, of others, because they need to be done perfectly.
Absolutely. So it comes to what are the thoughts associated and feelings associated with the hijack in a way? What are the symptoms, internal symptoms of the hijack? So usually some negative emotions could be frustration and being upset with others or themselves when things are not being done perfectly. Feeling
Because you
irritated.
can't meet the high standard that you set for yourself, and
Yeah.
can be really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know there is another main saboteur, which is the judge. And when the judge
Yeah.
come in and start criticizing, no, oh, this is really just not good enough. How can you do this? It can be really
Exactly.
horrible. Yeah. And probably some kind of anxiety, of anxiousness as well, because
Yeah.
you really need the thing to be ordered and tidy and to be that good. And when that doesn't happen, there's a lot of that emotion that's kind
Yeah.
of driving it through, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Imagine a mom that has a small children and trying to keep the place tidy and organized. That can create a lot of stress and anxiety and
Yeah.
possible anger as she's trying to keep, the kids organized and clean. Because otherwise that creates the anxiety in her. So it is her way of dealing with the anxiety to keep it clean and organized.
So I'm just going to say some, Natalie, right? Thank you, Natalie, for asking the question. She asked, how can you manage the feeling of being hijacked? So
That's a
today
good question.
our topic, main focus, of course, is on the stickler. And what can we do when you are hijacked by the stickler? That's a good question. Thank you for
That's an
asking.
amazing
So
question.
Lucy, do you want to try giving a little bit of information on that?
Thank you, Aries. And thank you so much, Natalie, for asking the question. That's a beautiful question. And I see your strength of looking at, okay, so this is the problem. How do I get to the solution? So the strength of looking for solutions. I love that. There are different ways. And I would say it takes practice. Just like in physical fitness, when we haven't done certain exercises or haven't been taking care of our health, in the mental fitness, it could be being hijacked for a long time by the stickler, let's say. So in physical fitness, we need to do the practices and go to gym to get stronger, get the muscles stronger. So it's also in the mental fitness, similar thing. We can do certain exercises to create new neural pathways in a way, mental muscles. So then when we get hijacked, then we can choose a different action, different way of thinking, different way of feeling, different way of behaving. So the good news, there's definitely hope. And one of the things that could help is the first step is being aware. Because when we are not aware that we are being hijacked, that's why we are talking about, how do I know that I'm hijacked, that this doesn't have to be my normal, that there is a way, there's a different way. This doesn't have to be my identity, just like Aries said before, that it becomes our identity almost. And then it's one of the hardest things to change one's identity because we are so attached to our identities. So really be careful of how do I see myself? But that will be for a different video. So first step is the awareness. Aries, would you want to add a next step?
Yeah, I'm just putting down for you, summarizing the practice, but the practice is first of all awareness, definitely. I normally tell my client, I mean, not just this particular saboteur, whatever thing we do, everything is come from the awareness. Because most of the time, if we are honest with ourselves, we're not aware, which is why we are hijacked. Things happen, and then we're like, and then we start having the frustration, the anger, whatever that is. And first thing is notice, and then of course you notice that's happening. You, I believe acknowledging that emotion that you feel. It's not about, oh, that's a bad emotion, that's negative, and we sweep it under the carpet or just ignore it. It's not going to go away. So the things from like for EQ, we know it's about recognizing, acknowledge the emotions coming out for us. And when we do that, the emotion kind of settle down a little bit. And once we acknowledge, once you acknowledge that, then it's asking yourself, now that I know, what do I want to do? I like to always ask a question, because when you don't know, there's no way you can ask a question. So it's always the awareness. And then you can start off acknowledging and then asking the questions. What is happening now? Should I go on, Lucia? You like to jump in here?
I love that. So I love the asking the question. So the moment you feel that you notice that you are in the middle of the hijack, that you have this emotion, as Aries, you brilliantly said, it's not about suppressing the negative emotion. It's about really noticing it. And negative emotions are useful, just like in the positive intelligence, we are saying, for how long they are useful, though. There's the distinction, they are useful. Just like a pain when we put a hand on a hot stove is useful because it alerts us something's going on that we need to pay attention to. But it's not useful for a very long time. So just is anger, irritation, frustration useful, but just for a moment, for us to ask ourselves, what's happening? What is causing me feeling this way? The more aware we become to what is our trigger in a way, the more freedom in a way we will have to act in a different way. And so there's the power of the really catching ourselves. And I think in our society nowadays, it's kind of normalized, and people also create this, he is just an angry person, and we consider it as being normal. But it's actually people are being hijacked when they are constantly having these negative feelings. So it's actually not a normal state in a way. It's a hijack state. So when we notice it about ourselves and we realize we don't have to feel irritated all the time, awareness, the next step, asking ourselves question, what's happening, as you mentioned. And the next possible question for the stickler that might be helpful would be, what is something, so I cannot, let's say, it's great to have things done perfectly. And it's impossible to get things perfectly done all the time and everything. It's humanly impossible. So what really matters here right now that it's done well? What can I do at least 70%? And that will be my definition of success. It doesn't have to be 100%. What is it out of all the things that I wish I could done perfectly? What is one thing that really makes the biggest difference when it's done well? And just minimize the focus instead of looking at on so many different things that call your name for perfection to perfect them. Pick just one. What comes up for you, Aries, when you hear this strategy?
I like what you say. What's really matter right now, because humanly speaking, it's not possible to be 100% all the time, unless you have some Chinese like to say, unless you have like 3 heads and six arms and whatever, you can do everything all at the same time.
I mean,
So I think, yeah, what's really matter right now? Maybe it's just 70%, and the 70% is the most critical, and let's focus on that 70% rather than trying to do it all and come back again to be honest with ourselves that do you want to do maybe the 70-30 that's perfect, or wanted to do the 100 and then everything just go down the drain? Yeah. So Natalie, I hope we answer your questions. So maybe give us a little bit of signal, reply, thumbs up, or whatever, know that we answer your questions, and any more questions we can answer you. Should we jump on to the 4 quadrant now, or you got something you want to add, Lucy?
Absolutely. I would just add, it does take practice. So just an encouragement to be patient with yourself and compassionate. Actually, we have the full positive indulgence program that goes for 7 weeks to really help people build those mental muscles. And it is a practice, just like going to gym. It's not once and done. That would be amazing. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But already you attending this our video and realizing and seeking for a solution, I'm sure that you will find your way through this and will be able to feel better. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for all the work that you're doing on yourself. And one more thing, Aries, when you were talking about the 3 heads and lots of hands, I got the idea of robots and maybe cyborgs. One day, maybe. One day will be cyborgs.
Well, we do have extra head this day using things like ChatGPT, which is I find pretty useful.
Exactly.
But that head has
We're
to be
getting there.
have to be monitored. It's not that you let them go free. Okay, let's come back to the topic. Okay, the 4 quadrant. So let's start as we have a domains as in D as a dominance. So yeah, dominance, drive, and very big picture and very task-centric person. How does that, the link that we see with a stickler?
I think we are coming to always realization that some personality types are more prone to some saboteurs than others. And I think because of the big picture, maybe that might manifest a little bit differently. It might not be completely natural fit, because maybe in my mind, stickler is more connected with the detail. It has to be perfect to the tiniest detail. But based on the experience of the dominant person from the past, they could acquire stickler in some situations, or it could be the stress response. When they get stressed out, that's when the stickler kind of comes up for them. So they could become, I wonder if they would become micromanagers at the time, even though it's probably, or it would become more aggressive, maybe angry, upset, more that things are not done perfectly, that the goals are not being hit, the targets are not being met. I would say it's not the direct link, but it can be possible based on the past experience.
Yeah, I think if we just look at, okay, saboteur, we're trying to say is really about that come from that strength of needing to able to bring orderly organization, disciplined. But of course, the saboteur means that we take it too far ahead. And when we tie it back to that personality traits, D is a very driver wanting to do things. So it's probably not direct related, but there is some traits of that. So when D went to the extreme of saying that, oh, I need to do this must be done, certain things, I think that Stickler saboteur will kind of kicks in. Yeah.
We have to do everything, all our goals in a perfect way and hit all our targets. Yeah, and then the things that when D doesn't go into detail, it will be quite challenging though, because sometimes to get into that final stage, you need that detail. Exactly. But D is not someone who go into detail, but yet they expect the outcome to be what they expected. So they can be in some internal hell at that situation. Because they need it, yet they don't have the natural talent or the skill to do that. So they might be struggling. They could develop the really force themselves to pay attention to the detail because of the stickler kind of
It
is
will be even
driving
more
them.
frustrating for them. And then
Yes, so they might be very frustrated. Yeah, not a happy place and a happy time.
we move to the I as in inference. So I is similar with a D as in the very active extrovert. But the main difference is I is more people-centric. So their focus is about people. So when you're people-centric and you're an extrovert, how does a stickler actually comes into play?
It's a great question. I would say, again, it might not be the direct link because also they're looking at the big picture. But the saboteur could sneak their way in possibly having as the stress response when things are chaotic, to start cleaning up, getting things organized, to kind of get the sense of security, safety back.
Yeah, I see I have probably the least relation with a stickler because I is generally not a very organized person. So they don't have an organized personality traits. But of course, when you're so messy, you need to be tidy, then you do that. But generally, I is not an organized person. They are probably disorganized. So they probably
They're
find
creative.
people who are very organized to be like, how does that work? It's like, how do you walk backward? Don't we just walk forward? So I think it will be kind of an opposite traits for them. But doesn't mean that the unique thing about saboteur, whichever one is, it can happen to everybody, whatever your personality trait is, just that how much that affect you. So I think it probably have quite small influence on the I in general, because I is number one, a pretty disorganized person, and it's just like to go with people and you know the kind of thing. It's not like I need to be this and this. It's kind of a different, yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a client that actually is I and also has a high stickler. And that creating some very anxious feelings. Let's say just an example, trying to do shopping and ordering and not being able, oh my God, I need to order it perfectly in a perfect way. I cannot forget any one item. And now she couldn't remember one item and it drove her crazy. She was trying to order for an hour.
Right. You know what comes up for me was because I is not a task person, it's a people person.
Yeah.
So they are doing that is a task thing, which is not their natural preference style, which
No.
means they are really stressed.
Exactly.
And if
So
they
the
have
stress
sticklers, for some
response.
reason, they have stickler saboteur. That means they feel they need to do a good job, but it's not in them to do it. It's not, that's not inside with their normal
It's the
strength.
stress response, basically. The
I
stickler
think
comes to
it's kind of
help.
stress, they can't jump into it, but it's not their natural organized and tidy.
Yeah. Should we go to the next?
Yeah, the S is also people-centric, but they are a lot more introvert. They're more about people focus, more supportive role, which is S, very supportive, probably more towards gentle and more thoughtful of people. So I guess S also not so obvious in terms of stickler. Because they are more about supporting people, not about that, oh, I need to be ordered and tidy. But if they by nature like to be ordered and tidy, then that might surface.
Yeah, could be again in the stress response when they feel everything gets chaotic, they need to start cleaning up, getting organized. And it's a stress response basically. But naturally, when they, let's say somebody makes a mistake, doesn't do things perfectly, for them, the value of keeping the relationship and caring for a person is higher than getting it perfectly done. So they say, oh, how can I support you in getting it done better next time? Could be the response of the support personality or a DAF in the bird's language, instead of criticizing the person that they didn't get it done correctly. Unless the DAF is already stressed out, that's when the stickler, if they have the stickler, can come out. and they can be irritated, angry, and upset.
Yeah. I mean, whichever personality traits you have, whether you are more people, you're more task, you're more extrovert, introvert, there's always it's just a preference of doing things, but there's still, yeah. Okay, sorry, Natalie have a question. She said, can I be indecisive? And I say, what kind of indecisive does she mean to say wanting to please everyone? So I think this is probably the pleaser that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
You might want to look at our last week recording. So just quickly answer your question. We divert a little bit. It can be when you want to please everyone, and everyone is different. So how do you please them? So that is a pleaser mode. And of course, in terms of pleaser, again, which personality traits that you sit in will make a bit of difference to that as well. Hopefully I answered that questions. You want to look more into last week recording, as we took our 30 minutes talking about more than 30 minutes last week. I think it was 35 minutes or so, because pleaser is a big topic of mine. Is it pleaser last week?
I can't even remember.
Oh, no, last week was restless.
We had restless.
Yeah.
So
before restless, the week before we did pleaser. So that was 2 weeks ago we did on pleaser. So you might want to look at that recording. If not, after this, I'll send you the link. You can have a look at pleaser. Okay.
And also there's a free saboteur assessment test that you can take. We can also share the link later under the video.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send you the link, and then I'll share the early on pleaser as well. Yeah. So Lucy, okay, sorry, the third one, the last one, compliance.
It's the
orderly, detailed, analytical. Can you see now some very directly?
I think so. It's
yeah.
They could naturally be more prone to hijack by the stickler. Because they have similar
really
strengths already.
Because they are both very neat, tidy, organized. And C is a very analytical and need a lot of details. So it does. There's a lot of more of that relation coming in.
Like the stickler on steroids, the power stickler.
Yeah. Because C for them, compliance is about people who need to be very, I would say, analytical. So they're very focused on the task ahead of them, and they need a lot of details, and they want it to be perfect and just nice. It's really like a stickler.
Yeah,
so that's why they don't like to say, just talk about big picture. No. I need all the details, and I make it really neat and nice and tidy. So they are very similar to a stickler. Literally, I see a direct
link. Yeah. I mean, they have beautiful strength. I rather my accountant have stickler miss some numbers, or or doctor, right, measuring some medicine, the pharmacist. It doesn't matter, a little bit more.
I think I won't really want to label people with any saboteur. It's just a kind of learned behavior, thoughts, feeling, emotion. They have used it from young, like the example that you give. I thought that was good, because I mean, that's not the only situation, but it's very likely when they are in those kind of chaos, and the only way to survive, they are stickler kind of kick in to help them to manage, and they have carried that traits with them all to adult, which like maybe 20, 30, 40 years, and then it's so ingrained with them, become part of them. A lot have to do with our childhood, unfortunately, and then plus your personality. So some is a bit of link, some not direct link, but they can all hijack you. Absolutely. So if you are C, the compliance, of course, it's really direct relation. It's easily you have these traits. But you're I, for example, you're like, I'm just organized, fine. But when it comes to your shopping cases, this client is like, how am I going to do it properly? If I screw up, then everything must. So I need to do it properly. But it's really not in her to get it done. So she will have the stress, and all the more she need to do it. Yeah.
I would add one distinction, like we say in the positive intelligence, that you've mentioned the identity. Actually, the saboteurs are not us. So we are not a stickler. We get hijacked by the stickler, but it's not us. So therefore, we actually can change it, because it's not our identity.
That's a good one, Lucy. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, so just I think we are 1 minute. I want to wrap it up.
Oh.
It's a good point to notice that all this saboteur we're talking is about the thoughts, your thinking, your feelings, your thinking, and it's not really who you are, but you think that's who you are because you have carried the traits for many, many years, right? So that's why we say notice. And then when you have the awareness, then you acknowledge that feeling because there's a lot of emotion involved. And then what do you want to do about it? Briefly about what you want to do. Of course, everything takes time to build ingrained. Like you want to tie a shoelace first time, it's so difficult. But now I ask you to tie a shoelace, is it difficult? It's like, what? Ask you to brush your teeth, is it difficult? Huh? But the first time you brush your teeth with a toothbrush, do you have to think very hard? Do you have to struggle? So everything takes time to build, right? It's not about one-off. One-off is about learning the knowledge that we can all learn. But it's how do you want to build it on to your mental, physical, to build it there, and that takes time. And any last question from you, Lucy, before we close up today?
That was a beautiful summary. Thank you. My question was, who is next week that we are going to talk about?
Victim.
Oh, victim. Yeah, that will be interesting.
Yes, victim will be very interesting. Yeah. It's a trait that nobody want to associate with, but we all have a little bit of that. Some have more, some have less. It's not about
different situations.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time. And I want to say thank you to Natalie for asking questions because this makes it more juicier. So thank you. Hopefully to see you some other time too.
Yeah. Thank you, Natalie. We'll send you I'll send you the 2 links after this. And that's it for today. And we will talk about same time. We'll talk about the victim next week.
Bye. See you next week.